Hello, I'm Beck. Welcome to my channel. Today I'll be drawing a D&D character based on the roll of the dice. Let's bring out the Tower of Destiny! So if you've seen my other videos, we have done paladins before. They're basically knights. They have a noble cause where they've made an oath to dedicate their life to something. Minotaurs, on the other hand, I've never played a minotaur in D&D. I haven't had any characters that are minotaurs, so I had to look it up. And according to D&D Beyond, minotaurs are barrel-chested humanoids with heads resembling those of bulls. Blessed with supernaturally strong sense of direction, minotaurs make great navigators. They have thick hair that extends down their necks and powerful backs, and some have long patches of hair on their necks and chins. Their legs end in heavy cloven hooves and have long tufted tails. So, that's a bit of a mouthful, but I think I can handle that. Basically, they're a bull person, cow person. I decided to make mine female, so you could say she's a cow with horns. Cows do have horns, so yeah, she's a minotaur, so we don't need to say bulls or cows. Although that's what they look like. Like Tabaxi is a cat person, Minotaur is a cow person. Yeah. I decided to go quite classic with the style for the fashion and also the setting that this character's going to be in. Let's call her Pepper. Her name is Pepper. Pepper is protecting something in the maze that she's in. I don't know what it is, but it's very, very important, and she's made an oath to keep people away from it at all costs and make sure they never find their way through the maze. So when I was blocking out the character here, I wanted it to look like she was rampaging towards someone. Looking at her stats here, she's pretty strong and very dexterous, but she doesn't have high constitution. Her intelligence is average, her wisdom is above average, and her charisma is normal. So I'd say in her life, learning about the maze, she did develop quite a bit of wisdom, and I would say the maze has a lot of puzzles and locks and things that need to be solved. And as a protector of the maze, she would need to be quite dexterous. In terms of intelligence is sort of being able to learn information and retain information, but wisdom is your ability to apply that information. So I think it might be a case where the maze isn't necessarily a huge labyrinth, but it does require a certain amount of wisdom to interpret what you're seeing or interpret things with wisdom. So as most mazes, it can be a case of memorizing right, left, but this might be a maze that moves on its own. The hedges might be alive or something, and it requires wisdom to clock onto that fact and maybe notice the patterns that are emerging rather than applying the logic of, well, there's a wall here, so I can't go that way. Some of them might be illusionary walls, they might be magical, so you might need to try to go through them, and she would have a good ability to tell when a wall is real and when it's just pretending. I'm doing a secondary sketch on this one. I don't usually do lots of sketch planning layers. Usually I'll sketch it out and then go straight into the inking lines, but For this one, because I've never done a Minotaur before, I don't usually draw cows and horses and things like that that have hooven legs and things. I wanted to sort of block out the general shape and then go in and try and add more detail in sketch, so that when I was inking I had a very clear idea of where I was putting my lines. So you can see me trying to figure out her armor and what she's wearing just here. I had a few references on Pinterest up on a different screen, so I can't really show them to you because I didn't save them. There was probably like 5 or 6 that I had up that I was sort of taking different details from different ones. Particularly positioning and how hands look and what other people have done when they've drawn Minotaurs. For example, some people will draw a Minotaur's hands, instead of having 5 fingers like a humanoid, it's got 3 fingers, so sort of 2 fingery fingers and a thumb. I don't really know where that comes from. I guess it kind of looks more like a hooven hand, except it's not made of hoof material, it's made of hand, like skin, flesh, and fur? I confused myself a little bit about whether I wanted to have the fur or horsehair or cow hair, I guess, on the whole body including hands, because usually a creature that has humanoid hands, the palms won't have fur or hair on them, so it will sort of peter out. Even cats and things, they have skin pads on their paws for grip. You can't actually see that detail though, so I ended up just coloring it all in the same color, which you'll see later. Some of my other references were for Paladin armor and what kind of armor styles there were, particularly for female knights. And yeah, just posing, finding interesting dynamic poses that I could try to mimic. And the way that cow legs and horse legs and satyr legs and minotaur legs look, depending on what position they're standing in, because their bone structure is a little bit different. Now she's got pretty low constitution, which isn't surprising because I imagine in a maze there wouldn't be a lot of variation in terms of what she can eat, and it would indicate the maze doesn't use poison traps or gases or things like that as deterrents to keep people out. If they make a wrong guess or they pull a wrong lever, no poison gas, maybe fire, maybe monsters, maybe any other number of things, but probably not poison, or else Pepper would have built up a tolerance to these things and she would have higher constitution, better ability to metabolize these things. It's interesting to think about, if you were going to play this character, how you managed to get her to go with a party rather than stay and keep her oath. It could be a case of successfully defeating her and beating the maze and taking the object, and then she starts to pursue you, and after a while she decides that the best way to protect the item is to keep it with her and travel around with the team. Or another thing is she could become an Oathbreaker Paladin, where she finds a reason to break her oath and go with the adventurers. Potentially she is reasoned with. She has high wisdom, so she could be reasoned with, and someone might give her a really good reason why she should break her oath and go with the party to do a different kind of adventure. Or if you have managed to talk her into breaking her oath of defending the maze and protecting the item in the middle, she could help the party to find the center and find the treasure. She could essentially be a real Oathbreaker and lead the party to exactly where she's not supposed to take them. For example, if the reason that she's made this oath is because whoever owns the maze, whoever put the treasure in the middle and built the maze and wants her to be one of the protective beasts that live in the maze, if the reason is that they took someone that she cares about, all the party needs to do is to promise to help her get them back, or to get them back and present them. As a DM, if I was planning a first session where somebody was this character currently living in the maze because they've made an oath to whoever promising that they'll defend the maze because their brother has been taken by this person and they want to keep their brother safe, I would have one of the other members of the group be that brother. It could be an adopted brother if there aren't two minotaurs in the group. But it would be a really fast way, instead of the group then having to go on a quest just to get the final member to join the party, to have it be a beautiful reunion straight away. Obviously it makes for a bit of a better story and a lot easier for a DM when the players have deeper connections than I just put you all in a tavern together and you just happen to meet. It's good when at least two of the players have some more solid background that you can draw on, and they can sort of bounce ideas off of each other with the implication that they know each other very well. Otherwise it does sort of feel a little bit like everyone is just for themselves and they're only in a group so that they don't die. Which, you know, some players like to do, but I like the emotional engagement in my games. And my players like it too, so that's why we have fun together. What do you guys think about whether players should start out having strong bonds with having the characters know each other versus having them meet for the first time in the first session? Let me know in the comments. Also, if you have any ideas about how this character might integrate into an existing group, or what you would do in the first session if you were playing a Minotar Paladin, how would you describe her background, or his background, or their background? And what would you do differently? That's one of my favorite things about D&D, is you can have the same race and the same class and even similar ability scores and come up with such a different character with different background and different ways of seeing the world, that you could be in the same party and essentially be the same guy, but be different as well. Everyone's got their unique story to tell. And this is where I decided that Pepper would be working for Medusa. I originally kind of sketched out having a Medusa head on the shield, but I decided just a singular snake as her emblem would look better. Largely irrelevant, but it's all to do with the old Greek? Roman? I think Greek philosophy. Philosophy is not the correct word. Mythology. Greek mythology of Medusa and the Minotaur and all that jazz. So yeah, I decided to include Medusa, and now I'm drawing up the maze. I don't have a lot of experience drawing mazes, but because she's in the maze, it's really just making kind of a hedge background that looks like it goes somewhere and has a corner in it. So I experimented a lot with the texture of the brush to try and get like a dirt path and a leafy background. I found this brush. I don't buy brushes for Procreate because I know that I would get super addicted and just buy hundreds that I never even use, so I only use what comes with the standard Procreate pack, and one of them is just like leafy goodness. So I used that one and I think it came out really well. What do you guys think? Let me know in the comments. And that's all. That's Pepper. thanks for watching. Please subscribe if you haven't already and you want to see more videos, and have a great day. Okay, bye.